Our 2 cents.
With Oscar.
Welcome and welcome back if you're returning to our 2 cents with your host, Oscar. Thank you for all your support. Please hit that subscribe button. It's free to you and it means the world to me. And also, leave a comment for the algorithm. It helps keep the ball rolling. Even if it's that stupid promo comment that those stupid pages leave on my stupid page. I don't know how many times I'm going to say stupid with that punctuation. I don't even know if that's the right word. Anyways. Buzzsprout. Let's get your podcast launched today. Start for free. Today is a great day to start your own podcast. Whether you're looking for a new marketing channel, have a message you want to share with the world, or you probably think it's a good idea, or you probably think it would be fun to have your own talk show, program, podcast, whatever you want to call it. Podcasting or programming, well, depends what you call it. But podcasting is an easy, inexpensive, and fun way to expand your reach online. Buzzsprout is hands down the easiest and best way to launch, track, and promote your podcast. Your show can be online and listed in all major podcast directories like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and many more. Within minutes of finishing your recording, podcasting isn't hard when you have the right partners, and the team of Buzzsprout is passionate about helping you succeed. Join over hundreds of thousands of podcasters already using Buzzsprout to get their message out to the world. Let's create something together. Following the link in the show notes, lets Buzzsprout know that I sent you. Get you a $20 credit if you sign up for a paid plan and helps support our show. Thank you, Buzzsprout, for supporting thy show. Air quotes. Thank you. Moving on. Happy National Pastry Day. National Pastry celebrates one of the world's most favored baked goods. On December 9th, visit your local bakery, pick one up or two of your favorite kind. Hashtag National Pastry Day. The pastry is a name given to a large variety of baked goods, which are made with ingredients such as flour, sugar, milk, butter, shortening, baking powder, and eggs. Pastry dough is rolled out thin and then used as a base for different baked products. A few of the more common bakery items include pies, tarts. We had some tarts on Monday. Remember that? Remember it was National Chocolate Tart, something like that. Some European stuff that's supposed to be good. But anyways, quiche, whatever that is, and pasties. Bakers create both savory and sweet dishes from the dough they create. Additionally, they continue to develop new and delicious creations all the time. Culinary historians often consider French pastries Chef Antonin Carême, 1784 to 1833, to have been the original great master of pastry making in modern times. Many different types of pastries deliver baked goods that make our mouth water. Most of them fall into one of the following categories: short crust pastry, sweet crust pastry, flaky pastry, puff pastry, chew pastry, phyllo pastry. All, consider this, they are all different types of glue that you're shoving in your face while you eat them. Delicious type of glue, I will add, but nonetheless, it's glue. Happy National Pastry Day. No one loves a pastry more than I do. There, I said it. I love pastries. I enjoy pastries. They are delicious. Thank you. Happy with the nationality for pastry. This is a good day, especially given the season that we're in. We are 14 days. We're 14 days? No. Jesus Christ. I don't even know, but we are about 14 days till Christmas. I want to say, it's only because it's 2-3 weeks. Is it 3 weeks or 2 weeks? I don't know. But the year is almost up. It is the 9th. I do know that. Anyways, happy National Salesperson Day. So if you're a salesperson, or you sell, or your job or your life depends of you being a salesperson, today is your day. In the middle of the holiday shopping, Jesus Christ. In the middle of the holiday shopping season, National Salesperson Day recognizes the personnel who make sure the products keep flying off the shelves. On the second Friday in December, the day honors the value and dedication of professional salesperson and the hard work that they perform. Hashtag National Salesperson Day. A good salesperson is knowledgeable about the product. They answer customer questions and provide additional information when necessary. A salesperson may work locally in a shop or travel several hundred miles a day to see customers and vendors. When a new product becomes available, salespersons study up on the product and stay knowledgeable and informed. Many customers have favorite salesperson, and they know the salesperson provides the best customer care. A salesperson responsibilities go beyond sales too. For example, they may be required to track inventory and complete purchase orders. Some even handle delivery depending on the product they provide. This time of the year, sales personnel are especially busy. Holiday shopping is in full swing, but other retail businesses are retrieving their inventories, looking forward to a new year. A salesperson is the front line of any business. Often, they are the first person a customer sees. They are definitely the first one they think of asking to speak to when they have a question. Businesses rely on their sales personnel to be ready for anything and provide with them the tools to make the sale as efficient as possible. If you're a salesperson, happy National Salesperson Day to you. Happy nationalities. Anyways. Well, today, this was a complicated conversation, at least in my punctuality, I should say. It was a little bit difficult to acquire this conversation that I will be having today, only because of the time zone and having to figure out when it's day, when it's night, and having to see when both persons are at home at the same time. It was a little complicated to get the situation. But no matter, we chived on, and here we are, because we managed to situate the whole scenario. Without further ado, I bring to you my new friend, Isi Adeola, an award-winning voice-over actor, a spokesword poet, and a zoologist, and a presenter at the zoo. Without further ado, I bring to you my friend Isi Adeola on Instagram.
How's the audio sounding?
It sounds good. You sound good. Now it's caught up. It was a little bit delayed right there. You were sounding before your mouth was moving for a second, but you're good.
Oh,
You're good
okay.
now.
Okay, I'm
E-
glad that's out of the way.
Thank you. Is it easy or
So,
icy?
so it's Issy
Issy.
with an S.
Issy. Okay, okay. Nice to meet you, Issy. My name is Oscar.
Likewise.
Thank you for accepting to do this with me. I really appreciate you and your time. I know your time is valuable in getting to the proper timing zone. It was a little complicated for me. I did the math in my head really quick. I was like, hey, it's 8 hours, so it should be about 5. Okay. Yeah, no, I just woke up about 2 hours ago, so you're probably about
Oh wow.
to go to sleep in like 3 or 4 hours, huh?
Pretty much like the sun set about an hour ago because I'm also on daylight savings times because it's winter, so
Mm.
stuff gets dark a lot earlier.
It does. It does. I hate that time of the year, but it's all right. We'll make it through. Well,
Yeah.
Izzy, again, thank you for accepting to do this with me. I really appreciate you. Please tell us, we're going to get started. Please tell us who you are, what you do, and your motivations. And also, please plug everything you have going on.
Okay, my name is Isi. I'm known in certain circles as Isi the Scribe because I do a number of things. So I am a poet, a voice actor, and a zoologist, not necessarily in that order, but those are kind of the things that I'm about. I'm also a content creator on TikTok and Instagram, slowly venturing into the YouTube space, but the basically I'm essentially a mixed nut because I'm an arts person, I'm a science person, and I'm also a creative person. So essentially what I do is I do work with my voice, with voiceover. I'm a writer as well, and then I also combine these things to create animal related content for TikTok specifically. And I've been doing that for quite some time. TikTok mainly since earlier this year was when it really started to take off. But everything else I've been doing it for well over a decade.
Oh, wow. Hey, that was a long time. Now, which one's your main source of your main job? Which one's your main job? Is it the creating or the poet or the zoologist?
It's so none of those things. I do those things in different patches.
Wow, okay. Okay.
I've done those things in different times. I mean, I do them ongoing pretty much, but as and when
Oh.
opportunities come up is kind of when I do those things. So, like with voiceover, I might get something from my agent, or a friend might recommend me for something, or might find something. For the zoology side of things, I've had different jobs over the years, mainly working at London Zoo in different capacities. So, I've worked as a bit of a zookeeper. I work mainly in education, as a teacher in some places, and as a presenter. That was my most fun job that I ever had at London Zoo pre-pandemic,
Oh, wow.
because I was actually doing it was combining voiceover, live voiceover, and zoology because I was basically using a microphone and going to different animal exhibits when they were getting fed and talking to the public. So I've used my skills as a zoologist and as a science communicator in different capacities over the years.
Wow.
My latest one was actually I got to do television last year, for a show here in the
Beautiful.
UK called BBC Autumn Watch. And so I got to go out to a place called the Lake District up in Northern England, and I actually got to observe wild red squirrels and wild badgers, and I got to write for the show and do voiceover and poetry for that show. So it's as different opportunities come up, I get to use these talents in different capacities. But there is no one of there isn't one of those things that kind of like is my day job. Although content creation may as well be my day job because I do a lot of it.
Right. How much time consuming that is, right?
Oh my goodness, it's a lot. Like I have time to do it now because I'm in between jobs, so I kind of have the time to do it. But if you're working a 9 to 5 and doing content creation, that's a lot. Like that is a time is not a luxury when you're doing that.
The- my operations not doesn't sound as complex as yours sounds, or it's not as complex as yours sounds. Um, but I do these little dumb TikToks that I do, like check this out, and just a thought, like something that I think I'll write it down and I'll try to memorize it and pass it on. But what I'm trying to say is that the time that it takes, only just that couple of seconds that I do, it should only take me 4 seconds to do it if it took me 4 seconds to record it. But it doesn't. It takes at least 30 minutes for those 4 seconds. I mean, depends what you're trying to do with it as well, too, right?
Yeah, because you're editing stuff as well, editing the video, and you might put text or just it's so weird. Like so much time goes into make like that 30-second video, that 1 minute video. So much can go into that depending on what you're doing for it.
And you know what's crazy? There's no shortage of ideas of what you could do to create content, right? That's how hard it is. There's no shortage. At least for myself, it's like I want to do something else, but I don't know what else to do. Even though there's millions of things that I could be doing, just to provide more for what I'm trying to do. But yeah, and also I do work a 9 to 5. It's construction. It's more like a 5 to 5, more like, because sometimes during the week, yeah, it's all right though.
Those contracts, my goodness, those contracts are long, man. That is, I mean, I rate you for that, man. I couldn't do that. That is a lot of hard work, essentially.
It definitely is a lot of hard work, but I'm not in charge of the contracts or anything like that. They just give me a schedule, go do a repair, go do this, go do that to a brand new home, and you're done for your day. They give me the schedule and I go do it. Now, the beautiful thing about my job is that I get paid from the time I leave my house to the time I get to my house. So my commute, it's not, I guess, if we want to call it monetarily wasted, I guess, because I get compensated for the travel time. So, that gives me that at least for myself, it makes me feel a little bit better, because other times that I'm not at work, I can either be with my kids or my wife or spend the rest of the time that I got left into this. and it does take a lot of time. Like this, what we're gonna do today, what we're doing today. It'll easily take me, after adding an introduction and an out. Is it outro?
Outro, yeah.
Right.
Intro and outro.
Yeah. I mean it'll easily take me. I'm not a pro. I'm still learning the process. So at least it'll take me an easy 3 to 4 hours. And
wow.
It might seem like I didn't do much, but it's just the time consumption that you got to dedicate to it. But hey.
Honestly.
Yeah, definitely. You got to start doing it if this is what you really want to do, You got to start doing whatever you want to do, because if you don't, I mean, you'll never know if you were able to do something.
Exactly.
Your content, it scares the crap out of me a little bit, okay? Listen, how can you get so close to a cat, a cat that's that big? I'm very fearful of smaller cats because I don't want to get scratched by them, But I'll pet a cat here and there. But watching you get close to those big cats is like, did you have those since you were small, or are those zoo animals?
No. So, no, that's definitely like the reason I was able to get that closest was, first of all, there was bars of iron between me and the cat, so that helps.
Definitely.
So that was at a place called the Big Cat Sanctuary here in the UK. It's in a place called Kent, and they are a breeding center, but they're also a rehab center for retired wild cats from whether it's circuses, zoos, rescues. So they have a Meet the Big Cat Experience Day. So that's how I got to meet the big lion that you saw in the video. So his name was Manzi. He was one of 3 other male lions. He was kind of the smallest, the least dominant. So I was just like, yeah, I'm picking him. I don't want a big, crazy, dangerous one. so I got to meet him and feed him a couple of chicken wings, and to actually see how. That was the first time I got that close to a lion, and that was like, yeah, that's close enough.
Do they feed them live animals, or is it just all prepared for them to eat?
No, the meat is all dead. Like, it's illegal to feed live prey to carnivores in zoos here in the UK, and also in the US, in parts of the US as well. Yeah, here in the UK, it's completely illegal. So, the animals are pre-killed. So they have like bits of beef, goat, deer kind of thing, chicken, and that they're fed to the animals, but they're fed to the animals in an enriching way where they either hide the carcasses around the enclosure or they'll tie it up a tree, and then the animal has to use all of its strength to pull it and tug at it, and so it essentially gets a workout with its meal.
Right, because you can't just keep them without any workouts, right? Of course, you have to, otherwise the animal gets stressed.
Or lazy or fat, unhealthy essentially. So you have to provide some sort of challenge when you're managing a large carnivore like a lion or a tiger.
People that own those type of cats, like, do you enjoy your life? Like, what's going on?
Like, I'm just like, why would you put that in your living room? That does not qualify as a pet on any level.
I guess if you keep it
leave it to the professionals,
right? Definitely. Well, they must be professional if they've had one since it was a baby. They got to be professional by the time it's an adult. Okay, then
not necessarily.
I'm misjudging them then, right? Now I know.
No, trust me. Just because you see. Sorry, what are you saying?
No, go on. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go on.
Oh no. So it's like you see all these viral videos on Instagram and TikTok about people cuddling leopards and jaguars and tigers and things like that. That's not the complete story. It's like, let's just say it. Yeah, a lot of this happens in the Middle East and as well as America, but a lot of that happens in the Middle East. And a lot of these animals, the way they get them is they're smuggled from the wild as cubs. So they keep them. And then that's how they end up in the living rooms. But in America, it's also happens in that way where you have a breeding situation where these things are bred and then they're trafficked, kind of thing. Oh, just hold on 1 second. I think there's someone at my door. Edit it in post. Fix it in post.
What I was gonna say is most of those videos that you see going viral of big cats, it's mainly located in the Middle East, right? But you also mentioned that America does here in the U.S. has a big cat population.
You have a big cat problem, big time. Like there are more tigers in captivity in the United States than there are wild tigers.
That's what I was going to say.
It's that crazy.
But you know what? Hey,
so
I'm gonna defend. I'm gonna defend California in this one, and I'm just gonna blame that on Texas because that's mainly where they're at. Not, you know what? Close to my.
They're all over the show.
Oh yeah.
They're definitely all over.
Yeah. Because I know that at least about an hour from where the area that I live in, there's an area in the mountains where there's a big mansion. And one of my coworkers, we were going through there, and one of my coworkers was telling me that probably like around 2013, that guy in that house had a big cats, meaning leopards and lions and tigers. And apparently in that mountain, they found him by now, but the cats got out. And you know what? And I thought to myself, I was living around this area around that time walking to school. And you mean to tell me there was a tiger on the loose when I was walking to school? That's scary. To me, that's wild. That's wild to
it's insane.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's so, because the legislation around dangerous wild animal ownership is so fragmented in the States. It differs from one state to another.
Right.
In fact, in some states, it's actually easier to buy a lion cub than it is to adopt a puppy. It's that insane. So there's all sorts of federal and legislative problems when it comes to just ownership of big cats and just dangerous wild animals in general, things like chimpanzees, bears, wolves, all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, I don't know if you probably saw Tiger King in 2020 when that was going crazy. Yeah, so that was just next level insane, just all kinds of craziness. Yeah. And what kind of got overshadowed in the midst of Joe Exotic and, all those other guys was kind of the big problem, the big cat problem that America has, when it comes to kind of the ownership of these animals and also how these animals are smuggled and bred as babies kind of thing. And then they become too problematic. They start destroying your house and then people have to get rid of them. And that's how they end up in sanctuaries like the one I went to with the lion. That's kind of how that system works.
Right. I guess people get to a point in their life where either a small cat or a dog is just not enough. Like, there's dogs that are probably just as dangerous as lions, and that's probably more
Yeah, just as
manageable.
big. Yeah,
And that's probably more manageable
yeah.
than the
Look at things
lion.
like a mastiff, and
Yeah,
then you want to go for a lion. It's like, okay, can you handle owning a mastiff? Can you handle owning a Great Dane, like one of those
yeah.
large dogs?
What
If you can't, then you have no business owning a lion.
I had a Presa Canario. Do you know which one of those are?
A what?
A Presa Canario?
No, I've never heard of that breed actually.
It's from the Canary Islands, but it's like a Mastiff. It's a mix with a Mastiff.
Okay, mastiff. Okay,
I had
pretty big then.
a 7 month old female, and she was already as high as past my knee. Mind you, I'm five. I'm gonna go Tinder. I'm 6 foot. No, I'm just kidding. I'm 5'9". I'm 5'9".
Close.
And
Close
that,
enough.
right. And that dog was above my kneecaps already at 7 months. And she was already at 100, not 100, I'm sorry, at 80, 70 pounds on weight. And she was getting big. Jeez. And I was like, imagine this dog. I came across a dog this big in the street. I would be so terrified. Now,
yeah, that's a big animal.
If I walk into a living room and I see a cat laying on a couch, I think I would go in shock and I wouldn't be able to move, and I'll just be dinner for that cat that day probably, if it wasn't fed. But those people that do like I don't know. I should just say it seems to me on the videos I should say that I've seen that it seems like the animals are well cared for, but I mean, mind you, we're only seeing 30 seconds of the life of that animal.
Yep.
So
yep.
But
and they're showing you the good bits as well, the fun bits, the ones that the things that are awesome and or adorable about them. So you're not even getting the full, complete picture.
You're only getting those 30 seconds of it's looking cute right now. What about when the animal's stressed? Are you? What are you? Are you an animal? Are you a cat person or a dog person? I know you love all animals equal because you obviously worked at the zoo, so you must have that love for all animals equally. But your preference, is it cat or dog?
So it's weird. I've always kind of juggled between this question because the thing is I grew up around a lot of dogs, and my grandmother was dog crazy. Like every time I went to see her, she'd have some new puppy or some new great German Shepherd. So I've grown up around quite a few dogs, and really love dogs. Occasional cats as well, but I find I'm more drawn to cats in a way, particularly more the exotic side of when it comes to wild cats. I don't want to own one, but I'm just drawn to kind of how enigmatic and how powerful and beautiful these animals are. And also, I guess if I was living solo in an apartment and I wanted a companion animal, like my first choice would be like, no, kind of want something that's not quite high maintenance, so I'm more likely to pick a cat in that way. So yeah, probably. But it's weird. I'd want a cat that behaves like a dog because their personalities are very, very different. So it's like with a dog, you get unconditional love, but cats are a lot more picky, and you kind of have to, they're a little bit more hard work when it comes to kind of gaining their affections.
You got to get him to love you, huh?
Yeah, you have to do a lot more. You have to burn more calories to get a cat to love you.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, all dogs are different. You can't just put them all in one pool. But I've heard of stories of cats that only allow a certain person to touch them. But it also, I've heard stories about dogs too that are the same way. Most dogs don't even like to get pet if they don't live with you. So I guess it's kind of like, yeah. That's interesting. I always find interest in people that are into cats because I'm a dog person. I like cats. When I go to the yard on my job, they have cats there, and there's one cat specifically out of I think there's 5 because they have a big yard, and they keep them there for the mice and the rats and all that. But there's one specifically. They all could see me coming where I'm walking, but only one of them gets close to me. And I'm kind of bonding with that one, which is why I'm asking you, are you a cat or a dog person? Because I too lately I've been feeling you know what, it might be interesting to have a cat just to see if if I can turn
If
it
you
around.
gel kind of thing.
Right. But
Yeah, that's a good thing. He's taking a shining to you. You know, it's
right.
like, okay, this guy I like kind of thing. So, and with all animals, they're all individuals as well. So we've got, you said you have 5 cats on the yard. So that one individual has taken upon himself to kind of get to know you, kind of thing. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Dogs do the same thing.
But you mentioned something earlier. You said that the cats are more easier to care for. You think so? Because you got to deal with
Yeah,
the litter box. I don't know about that.
yeah. Well,
That's
that's essentially they're a lot cleaner, as in they have a place where they go, whereas dogs kind of just leave it out there. And also, cats tend to bury their droppings as well, which is why you have a litter box so that they can bury their droppings in the litter box. I mean, it's still gonna stink. You still gotta clean it.
right.
There's no getting around that.
Of course, of
You know,
course. Well, I'm gonna
but
defend dogs in this one because my dogs they always go to one certain area. But you gotta train them, for dogs at
yeah,
least. Yeah, it takes time. It's like it's like anything. It just takes time. Depends on what you want to spend your time on, teaching them tricks or teaching them to shit in a certain spot.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say both. Yeah, just it's a dog is an investment because with that you're essentially adopting a hairy, four-legged child. That's bringing another person into your family essentially,
Yeah.
and you have to exercise that person daily,
Oh
twice a
yeah.
day. Make sure they have the right shots, and you know, make sure they have
Mm-hmm.
the right exercise. Make sure they're socialized. Make sure
De-
do they get on with other dogs when you're walking. You know,
yeah.
do you take them to the
Deworming.
dog park? Do you yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I love dogs though. That's why I went with dogs because I didn't grow up around pets until I was like about 15 or 17, and then my mom got a dog around that age, and ever since then I was like, that's my thing, dogs, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Well,
all
yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. Go on.
No, I guess can cut you off. Sorry. You also said you were a voice actor, right?
Hmm.
Like, how did you get into that part of your life?
So I kind of always wanted to do that since I was a kid, since I was about 13, because my exposure to voiceover was through cartoons. You know,
Of
that's
course.
straight up. Like I grew up in the 90s, so watched a whole bunch of cartoons, everything from Disney and Looney Tunes to X-Men, Batman, all the superhero stuff. So that was my exposure to voice acting. But that I didn't realize that. I mean, I knew there were people doing the voices, but I didn't realize what they were doing was creating believable characters and acting. I didn't put two and two together when I was a kid.
Hmm.
And it wasn't encouraged in the family that I grew up in as well, because I grew up in a very traditional Nigerian family. So I went to my mom once and I said I wanted to do voices for cartoons, and she was like, nope, this is not for you. So it wasn't until many years later, post high school, post university, to about 2014, that was when I realized a friend of mine was just hanging out, and he said, look, dude, if you had thousands in the bank, all your needs were met, you wanted for nothing, what would you do with your life? And I was just like, I thought about it.
You're breaking up.
Well, I kind of like to give this. What's that?
You were
How's it
you were
sounding?
you were breaking up for a minute right there.
Oh, okay. It- so he asked me, what would you do with your life if you
Okay.
had all your needs met? If you had money in the bank, you didn't have to worry about anything. What would you do with your life? And I thought about it, and I was like, well, I kind of like to give this voice acting thing a shot. I've always kind of been curious about it, wanted to do it. I'm a big nerd when it comes to voices, so that's kind of when it started. I looked online to see if I could train with anyone, and then I found a voice acting coach. Who's more of a business coach. And
Hmm.
then I found out about this organization called Voice of the Network. So that gave me exposure to other voice actors, and my feet wet, my getting my chops sharp, that sort of thing. Essentially, that's kind of how I got into that. And then over time, I started to book little things here and there, radio spots. I've done a few video games, sort of commercial copy, corporate stuff. So there's a whole diversity of different genres when it comes to that. So I've always, and I also have a background as an actor as well, because I also did a lot of
Oh,
acting in high school, which is really, really useful because
nice.
voice acting is acting. You're not just reading stuff from a script. You're not reading, you're
Right.
not, no one is going to pay you to just read. You have to
Right.
read the script and sound like you're not reading, essentially.
You got to learn to project what you're saying.
Mm.
You know, when when I was younger, it's been basically all my life. I've never had a thought where this is what I want to do for when I grow up. You know, I never had that thought. Even when I grew up, I never had a thought. Well, I want to do some radio show. It crossed my mind, but it never to a point where the interest grew where to pursue it. Now, but it's probably because of how I grew up, I think, because my family was just like, go to school, get a job, get to work. That was it.
Yeah.
Like no career persuasion, nothing of that nature. Just get a job and, be fruitful with your life, I guess.
Yeah.
Until I got close to my 30s, mind you, already 2 kids. At around 25, I think I like to call it, that's when I figured how I should be running life. Set a goal, pick something, and start doing it. And if it works out, it works out. If not, at least you tried. But when you say that since a kid you found a lot of interest in voice acting, I didn't even realize that there was people making those voices. I thought it was just a cartoon. And now that I've learned that I'm doing this and I've learned a lot about audio, video, and editing and stuff like that, now my interest in voice acting has sparked. Now I'm like,
There you go.
I don't know where to go, but there's other things that interest that have sparked in me. Like I told you earlier, this making something happen is so easy that it's so hard to pick what to do. Because I've also found interest in stand-up comedy. I got a lot of things written down. I got a lot of listings that I wrote down that I don't know if they work or not, but they're in my notes, so they're safe there. They'll work
There you
in
go.
there.
At least you've written them down.
Yeah, and I'm still how do I say this? I'm still not sure of myself. Not sure if I want to do it, but I know I want to go do it. At least just stand on the stage and try it. But I've already went once, and it was on the wrong day, and I found out the right date, and I got scared, and I haven't gone back. But the voice acting, how did you said you found a coach first? Is that how you started?
Yeah, because it's like I'd never done it before. Well, actually, that's not true. I did it. My first experience of voice acting in a booth was actually at university. I was part of the drama club. So there was someone who was doing like a 4th-year drama project, and they were doing like a sci-fi audio project. And she had seen me do some stuff, and she was like, "Hey, I want to cast you as this villain character for my project. You've got a great voice. I think you'd be really cool for this." And I was like, okay, never really done this before. So I got into the booth with the script, and she was kind of directing me. And then I also did some crowd scenes with some other actors. So that was my essentially first complete exposure to that world when I was at university. Post-university, it was basically like, okay, that's more or less my only experience. But I was part of a church which was very creative.
Right.
And I actually got to do a little bit of voiceover in that sphere as well. So it was kind of like I'd had a little bits of experience, but in terms of actually trying to get to grips with the business, make myself competitive, that's when I needed training. And that's when I needed to learn, okay, how does this business work? How do you find work? Because in the 80s and the 90s and the early aughts, the only way you could do voiceover was you needed an agent. You needed to have an agent who could get you the jobs.
Wow.
Now, because of the internet, that's just blown everything out of the water. You can pretty much find all sorts of things. You can find anything. So you can find the jobs. You can go to pay-to-play sites. You can, go on LinkedIn and find people in different who work in audio, who work in advertising, those sorts of ways. it's a lot more hard work because I actually hate looking for things. I
Oh,
just
you're
hate
telling
looking
me.
for stuff. But that's essentially how it's done today. And before you go into that world, you need to know what the rates are. You need to have a home studio. You need to be able to record at home. You need to, have your branding and your marketing, all that sort of stuff that I never knew would even come into becoming a voiceover. So I was like, oh God, there's so much to learn. I just want to do funny voices.
You know what? I feel exactly what you're saying, because when I started learning about like RSS feed, what I needed to do, the equipment I needed, I felt exactly the same way. You're saying, oh, it's so much, but I was enjoying every single article, whatever I read about, every single thing of it, I was enjoying it. I'm pretty sure you're enjoying the same. You say right now, oh,
Yeah,
it's so much, it is this and that. But I know deep inside you're like, oh, it's so much. You feel good inside especially when you complete your task.
exactly. And it's like when I get in front of a mic in a professional studio, I'm just like, I'm dancing in the chair because I'm just like so happy to be in front of the mic,
Uh,
just performing or reading copy. And I'm just like, I can't explain it. I'm like, I'm just so happy. So it's like the journey and the learning curve that it's taken to do this. And I've had a similar one even with TikTok because I had a learning curve with that as well. But I also find that really enjoyable. So it's
right.
like when I get to do this, because this is helping me to get to do this, then it's like, okay, I'll bear it so we can get to do more fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah. You got to get through the harsh things before you start doing all the fun stuff. Yeah. What was you've had by now you've had many of voice acting jobs, right? What was your first one? Your very first, like the one that you were like, oh man, now I'm a voice actor. Which one was the one that made you feel that way?
So that was a radio. First job I ever got money for was like a radio spot. So the guy who actually booked me for it, he did my first ever commercial demo. So he helped me. He made it for me. I got to write the spots for it, but he made it for me. And then he said, "Hey, I've got this job for you. Like, when can you come into the studio?" I was like, "Oh, I get to come in." But I was working full time at my. I had a full time job in a 9 to 5, so I had to sneak out at lunch and head to the other side of London to do this voice gig. And it was like for a conference. I had to do this announcement for a conference, but it's for a radio spot. So I got to do that. I was like, done it. I'm going to get paid for this. And then I had to rush back to work. And
Wow.
I was like, I think I was about 10 minutes late or something like that because I was like, it was just crazy trying to get from across town. So I was like, whoa, that was stressful, but I did it. I actually did it. I was like, whoa, I got paid to do this for the first
Wow.
time ever. So I was like, but we got to figure out an easier way to do this because I was just like 10 minutes shy of, my lunch break.
Right.
There's got to be an easier way to do this.
Right. But you know what? Do you say it was well worth that rushed moment?
Yeah, totally.
Of course, right? No doubt about that. now, now, I saw the video that you uploaded about your most recent one. Now, can I learn a little bit more about that? The
But
Diablo,
what's this?
the Diablo one that you just
Oh,
did.
Diablo, yes. So that was the first video game that I ever booked.
Okay.
Because Diablo is a huge franchise. So
Right.
I first got, in fact, the whole reason that even happened was I first did a workshop which was about performing for video games, voice acting for video games, with a
Okay.
casting director for Diablo. And I was in a workshop, and that was in, oh God, what was this? I think I was like 2017, I want to say, something like that.
Okay.
So I did the workshop, and then it was just like there was so much to take in, so much to learn. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be ready for this. And then I think like months later, it was in spring, and then in summer of that same year, I get this email saying, "Hey, Andrea, we recommended you for this role. When can you come in?" And I'm like, "What? Is this a
Wow.
joke? Am I being punked right now?" So I'm like, "Wait, let me look at this. Blizzard Entertainment, LA." I was like, "This looks legit." So I sent him an email back. I was like, hey, I'd love to do this, but I'm based in London and you guys are in LA. Is that going to be a problem? And then they were like, oh, sorry, our bad. We'll book a studio for you in London so you can come and do this kind of thing.
What?
So I was like, what? this is I'm gonna be in a video, and I didn't even have to audition. Like I was just like, we've got
Wow.
some NPC characters that we want you to play for this particular role for this game. I'm like, oh snap! And then I get in, and then I realize this is for Diablo Immortal. You know, one of the latest installment for
Right.
that for this franchise at that time.
Right.
And I was like, oh my gosh. So I get in and I find out I'm playing three characters. I'm playing a knight, I'm playing a ghoul, and I'm playing a guard. And it is just so much fun. So much fun. Like we think we did the whole thing in like an hour. It was me and a few other of my voice acting colleagues who also they were playing some other NPCs in the game as well. So I was like, this is amazing. I can't believe this is my first ever video game. And I
Wow.
had to shut up about it for 4 years because you sign an NDA, so
Right.
you
Right.
cannot speak about it, no subtle hints in social media. And then the pandemic happened. So it was like, oh God, this is dragging this thing out even longer. So the release date kept getting pushed because of
Oh.
COVID and the world standing still.
And you're
So
like,
it wasn't
I want to tell
and I'm
everybody.
like, I have to. I'm just like, oh God, I hope they don't cut me from this game. I hope they don't cut me from this game. This happens. This happens.
Right.
And
Right.
it was just like, oh God. And then I noticed a friend of mine announces that, oh, I'm voicing this character on Twitter. This was early this year. And I was like, wait, is this thing out? Is this thing out? Can I talk about it? Is
Well,
this,
they didn't send you an email telling you could talk about it now.
no, they didn't. They didn't send anything. There was no correspondence whatsoever. I sent them an
Well,
email saying, "Hey, can I talk about this? Can I talk about this?" I was like, "Well, this guy's talked about it, so I'm not hearing anything. So I guess I'm going to talk about it." So I just that's what I did. So I
right.
was
Right.
like, "Hey, I'm a few voices in this game, that sort of thing."
Right. Because I'm pretty sure they're on is it NDA or MD is it NDA, right?
Yeah, NDA.
On
Yeah,
the NDA, it probably gave you a date to where you were like, you can't talk about it till this date. You know, that's
yeah.
that's beautiful to hear, man. Because like I said, like lately, I've been having that itch, like, and you know what's weird? Because when I started getting the itch for like trying stand up comedy, somebody that does stand up comedy, another person that does content for TikTok as well, like the same as you do, but he does comedy. He came across my feed and I sent him a message. So I kind of feel like a hack right now because I'm telling you the same thing I told him. I have that itch again now. But you know what? There's so many things that I came across that I get that itch. Like I want to try that. Is this my calling? And so far, the only thing that I've tried doing that I've actually stuck to keep doing it and doing it, it's this. So you know,
Podcasting.
hopefully we found it. I just need to get better and you know just improve as I'm going. You know.
Yeah, just see where it takes you.
Yeah, definitely.
See where it takes you. Yeah. But I also wanted to mention about this because this is another thing that happens in the voice acting industry is the
Okay.
disappointments.
Oh,
Because
okay. Let's hear about it.
even though I'm in this game, you cannot hear my voice because the audio had been cut. And I was like, what? Wait, because a friend of mine who's a gamer, he loves this game and he was playing it. And then he was like, what, dude, I'm trying to find you in this game. I can't find you. I'm like, okay, look out for these three characters. And then he found my script. It was all subtitles. I was just like, wait, those are my lines. Those are my lines, dude. I'm like, oh crap, they cut me. Oh, they cut me. I was like, I was gutted. I was absolute Oscar. When I say the worst thing that could have happened, like I was fearing the worst, and then the worst happened, that I was just like, oh my goodness. But I still got the credits, so I'm like, that's going on my IMDb page.
Hey,
IMDb page. I have the credits, I got the experience, I got paid.
Exactly.
So it's like,
well, that's what I
so
was gonna
that's
say.
another thing.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Well, I mean, it is disappointing. I would think that that you got cut out of the gameplay, right? But
Yeah, so the audio, my audio.
right. But the good thing is on the opposite end is that at least you got paid for that job. So you know whether they cut you out or not, I can see why you would feel like a little disappointed in the moment. But it would be more disappointment if you didn't get paid, I guess.
Yeah, that was doubly disappointing. Yeah, they paid me. I spent the money. That's it.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah, man, that's interesting. That I came across you, and now that I'm starting to get the itch of voice acting, because there's somebody I talked to, I think is the Logic Max. He does political interviews on the street, and he also has like a voice acting thing that he does. I don't know what it is exactly, but he posted on his social media about a week ago, I want to say, maybe less than that, that he was looking for voice actors. And, he said, shoot me a message if you're interested. And you know what? I paused for a second. I was like, should I? Should I not? I was like, whatever. I'll send him the message. If it goes, it goes. If not, I don't even know anything about it. But
you shot.
Yeah, but
you shot.
But but with what I'm talking to you about your voice acting job gigs, it's putting me in a different mindset that I probably have to take a different route, because you mentioned that you did regular acting, right?
Yeah, I used to do regular acting, so I had that as a background, as well as kind of doing voiceover. Voiceover kind of, because in fact, one of the reasons why I chose to do kind of TV film acting was in the hopes that it would make me a better voice actor, because voice acting is acting. You just happen to be in front of a microphone whilst you're doing it.
Right.
So I did that for about 3 years, but ultimately I walked away because I wasn't enjoying it as much. I wasn't getting as much traction as I was with voiceover. So I was like, you know what? I will happily walk away from this and just commit to the voiceover stuff. I might return to it. You never know.
Right. Once you're well progressed in one, you could probably start trying to learn the other one. But yeah, when I was about 13 or 14, I went to some acting classes, and mind you, I did those classes, and after that, like I said, my life was just like, go to school and get a job, get a good job. That's all. That's what they would all say. But things might have worked that way in the past. It didn't work like that nowadays. Yet now,
nope. People are carving all sorts of paths. Yeah. Especially with things like content creation and tech and all that sort of stuff.
Now, before you jumped on TikTok, where were you? Just Instagram?
Where was I? Yeah, I was on all the things, actually. I was on Instagram, I was on Facebook, I was on LinkedIn, still am on LinkedIn. So it was like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I was very reluctant to join TikTok. I was just like, I don't want to learn another social media thingy. I just don't.
You gave in too, right?
Oh gosh.
When TikTok started getting popular, I was like, no, I don't want to learn another one. And plus, that's a Chinese brand. They're going to spy on me. But now I'm all in on TikTok. I even forgot about it. I not necessarily forgot about it, but my Instagram, I use it to contact people who I want to talk to, who I pursue to talk to. I find that it's a lot easier to reach all the content creators that create a lot of good content on TikTok. I find it a lot easier to go to their Instagram and reach out to there. Yeah, because I feel like they don't get the messages on Instagram. I feel, but
no, you can't. Unless they follow you back,
right?
You can't message them. So if you message them, they're not going to get that message unless they're following you.
Yeah.
So that's how TikTok works in that regard.
That's how I figure that it was best to go the same way I did it with you, because I was like, you know what, he's never going to see my message here, so I'll just go over there and send him a message.
Yeah, good technique. How did you find me on Instagram? How did I come up on your FYP? How did that happen?
On TikTok, on my FYP, TikTok, yeah, on my For You page, yeah, you came across. I was like,
I see.
I was like, and I saw that you were doing zoology stuff on that video that I saw, and then I went into it and I saw, oh, poet, and then I think it was this morning earlier when I messaged you in the morning. I went through your Instagram and I seen the Diablo one. I was like, wow, that's incredible. That's amazing that he's done that. Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, thanks.
But yeah, do you plan on? Do you have a YouTube channel? You might if.
This is the plan. Well, I have a YouTube channel, but at the moment, it's pretty much just a dumping ground for old voiceover work I've done. But the plan is to actually veer into the YouTube space as well eventually, because I want to try and repurpose some of my TikTok content for YouTube, and also create more longer form content. I don't quite know what that's going to look like just yet, because YouTube is another learning curve that I have to go on, because I have to learn all sorts of things with audio and editing and videos and landscape form and all that sort of stuff after this big learning curve of TikTok. But that is the plan, to go there, because I also want to monetize the content on YouTube, because you can't do a lot of that with TikTok Creator Fund.
You know what? I personally don't have the success, but I've talked to other people, that make money off of it. And TikTok and YouTube, it's cents on the dollar. Like TikTok, it's there for to get yourself out there. I think it feels like that's what it works good for, only just to get yourself out there.
TikTok is better for exposure.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, TikTok is. Yeah, the people who make money from TikTok, they're not living off the creator fund, because it pays pennies. It's pittance. They're getting brand deals and sponsorships. That's kind of how they make money there. But YouTube is a much more reliable income stream, because it's been around for a lot longer, and it pays its creators a lot better. Some of my favorite creators are on YouTube. They're on TikTok now, but they're on YouTube, and they're still on YouTube, just doing what they're doing. And I'm like, yeah, YouTube treats its creators a lot better.
Who's your favorite creator? Mr. Beast?
No. He's a lot of people's favorite creators, but I'm just like, it's not right. No, my favorite creators are still rated. My favorite creators are actually, funny enough, they're voice actors as well, actually. But there's another guy who's a bit of he's like a pop culture nerd guy. His name is Andre Meadows. So his YouTube page is called, I think it's called Black Nerd Comedy. So he's called Andre the Black Nerd. So I followed him for quite some time. He's so funny. He's just full of joy, and he just loves all this nerdy pop culture stuff from the 80s and 90s. So he's one of my favorites. And then another guy named Brian Hull, who's a voice actor, and then Anna Brisbane, or Brizzy Voices, who's another voice actress. They're kind of like my top three for YouTube.
Mr. Beast. Yeah, no, that's interesting. You said, what was the guy's name again? The channel? Can you repeat that?
Black Nerd Comedy. Andre the Black Nerd. Yeah.
I'm gonna write it down because I want to check it out.
Nice. He's fun. he's a lot of fun. Who are your favorite creators?
Well, because
if you have any,
like I said, I spend most of my time just like, see, when I'm looking for another conversation, I'm very bad at following up with everybody who I talk to. I don't know if you actually went to my list of episodes that I have. You should be 268.
Wow.
Now, I'm very bad at following up. Also, mind you, it's a one-man show. So, and also, I gotta, like I told you earlier, I got a 5 to 5 job.
A 9 to 5.
No, 5 to 5. 5 in the morning, 5 in the afternoon.
Oh yeah, 5 to 5. Good God, that's even worse.
No, but in fairness, there's days that I do get out at 2, which is not bad. But for the most part, it's like around 3, 4, 5, around there. But it's complicated. I'm bad at following up with other people. So I don't have a favorite YouTube creators, although I probably should, just so I can learn a lot more. What I do have is favorite podcasters.
Gotcha.
Right. So one of them is the Flavor Fragrant podcast. Andrew Schultz.
Okay.
Flavor Fragrant.
Flavor Fragrant. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's Andrew Schultz. He's a comedian. Funny podcast. He sometimes has interviews with people, but he's a comedian, so every conversation that he has sometimes is serious, but with a funny twist, so which he's good at doing that.
The humor spin on it.
Yeah, but
nice one.
As
far
as
kind of like the Daily Show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, exactly like it. He also has another show with Charlemagne the God. I'm pretty sure you've heard of him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he has another show which is called Brilliant Idiots. So I would say that he's my favorite because the way he asks the questions. Sometimes, he asks a serious question, but he makes people laugh. So the question is not as serious as it should, and people feel more relaxed to answer. So,
Yeah, totally.
I like how he does that, which is what I want to learn to do, 'cause I enjoy having this conversation, but there's times when the conversation comes to like, oh, what should I ask next? What should I ask next? Or my brain's trying to function, and just trying to catch up. It's going overheated, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is something that I got to venture in. But the only reason I asked you about if you had a YouTube was because what I've heard about YouTube is that it might take over the whole TikTok thing because of what they've done with the shorts. It's because it's basically the same thing.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Essentially, everyone's ripping off TikTok. Yeah, YouTube's no different. Everyone is ripping
Yeah.
off TikTok.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Well, Easy, I really appreciate you letting me have this conversation with you, giving me some of your time. Please plug everything you have going on as well, all your pages, all of that. And thank you for letting me have this conversation with you.
Thanks for inviting me on your show to have this chat. I've enjoyed it as well. I'm all the things. It's at Isi the Scribe, ISITHESCRIBE. See, it rhymes. So at Isi the Scribe on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, although I'm not really on Facebook these days, and then YouTube as well. And I have a website as well. If you want to learn more about me, it's www.isithescribe.com. So you can listen to samples of my work, see some of the stuff I've done, and learn a little bit more about me. Thanks for having me, Oscar. It's been great.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Well. Taking care of big cats, voiceover for video games, creating content for all social medias, you name it. It's all fun and games, but at the same time, just like my friend Isi, with persistence and dedication, it can all be achieved. Time and dedication are your best friends when you're trying to achieve a goal that makes you a creator, an artist, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, this was fun. My friend Izzy, I appreciate you and your time. Thank you for letting me have this wonderful conversation with you. And to all of you, have a great weekend. Goodbye. Deuces.